It's that light, fun, hilarious, fun, awesome, fun story. What were we even doing? Like, why did we even do it? Why did we even do it? That's not it. First of all, I would like to apologize for the sheer number of books that will be talked about in this video. So my daughter got sick, and this is her first time being sick since we adopted her, so it was just, she just needed lots of snuggles. And Corey happened to be unwell at the same time, and he had some dental pain and issues, and he got wisdom teeth removed. So it's been it was a long week. So I've missed some videos. I missed the last vlog, and now I have a lot of books to talk about because I happen to be reading a lot of small books lately. So we're gonna talk about them, but I also just filmed a video, so we're also gonna put my shelves back together. First of all, Ascendant. In my last vlog, boy, I was really excited about that book. I didn't actually tell you what book it was because I couldn't remember, but I had just finished rereading Aragon. I was on a Dragon Rider high, picked up another Dragon Rider book. I TNF'd it, and it wasn't even doing anything wrong. The thing is, it's a Dragon Rider book, okay? Do you need me to tell you that much about it? The main character was good. It's this society. He's a pot boy. His father is a cook, and he scrubs the pots. And he wants to be a Dragon Rider, and he cares about that. But, you know, you're not a Dragon Rider. No! So then he walks in on the ceremony where they're examining eggs and deciding which ones get to stay and which ones get tossed into the river because they're defective. One egg that should be disposed of, he keeps, and it hatches, and it turns out that the dragon is blind and also has some very unique abilities and traits about it. And they have also a very strong connection and things. Thing is, I like the main character. He was great. Nothing wrong with him. Very likable, in fact. I like the dragon. Very cute. Very likable. I like the characters. I like the plot. But I got halfway through this 16-hour audiobook, and I thought to myself, do I want to be reading 8 more hours of this? Or am I good? And I decided I'm good. So I stopped. I'm trying to do better by myself, of not forcing myself to read books that I think are okay, so that at the end of the video I can say, it was okay. So that's my thoughts on that one. Then I picked up Cradle book 4, because I just needed something quick, something easy, and I'm not gonna lie, some of my friends really want me to read that series. So I've read the first 3 books. I have them right here. I just mentioned them in a video. Bada boom. So I've read the first 3 books and I've liked them, but generally it's good. It's good. I really like Lyndon. I really like Yaren. I really think that the magic is interesting, but it's just so fast-paced. We just move from one thing to the next at such a rapid pace, and I feel like I rarely have the time to just breathe for a second and you know, really intense things that happen. I don't feel like I get enough time to reflect on what's just happened. And it's very exciting and fun and hype and interesting, but it's not doing what I want from books. With all that said, I just read book 4, which is apparently widely considered not a strong one in the series, which is surprising because I enjoyed it just as much as the other 3. If not, maybe even a little bit more. We had some very much needed character reflection and character time to process and breathe and like take a second to consider some things. It was a really nice break in the type of fantasy this is. Progression. I just filmed a video and I couldn't think of the word. I've got the word now. It's progression. This progression fantasy where it's just Lyndon kind of like rising in the ranks, right? Fighting against the odds. He's an underdog, and now he's risen to a new rank. Now what are we gonna do? Oh, I know. Fight and be the underdog and fight and rise another rank. And this is a really nice break from that. It was a nice a breather from the progression. It was a good book for Lyndon to take a couple L's and learn and realize you can't always take all the shortcuts. It was also a book that had some real consequences, and it was something where, you know, a thing might have happened and then it's not just like undone. It's not just like, oh well, now that thing hasn't happened to you. In order for him to recover from the thing that happened, there were some really real consequences that came from that recovery. There's some long lasting, this is gonna affect you now. So I like that. It also was a really great setup book. A lot of stuff happened in this book that some questions were answered, some things that I was interested in knowing the answer to. I got some answers, and then a whole lot more questions came up because some reveals happened that made me go, ah, this might be going in a really interesting direction. So I'll read book 5. I've been told that book 5 is the book where the series really comes into its own. So I'm gonna read book 5. If I still kind of have lukewarm feelings about the series, I'm gonna stop there. I know the series has some really intense fans and gets a ton of love on BookTube, but I feel like it's not the series for me. And if book 5 proves me wrong, that's awesome. If I come out of book 5 still feeling like I like this series, but I'm just a lot more interested in a lot of other series, then I'm just gonna, let's say I gave it my best go. I have also started book, where's all my books? There's more things to put on the shelves. I've also started book 4 in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it's lovely. I know that the trilogy, it was originally meant to be a trilogy, and for whatever reason it became a quartet, and a lot of people say stop after the 3rd. And definitely the beginning of this book is, I get it, because in the very beginning of the book we're already like, are we just undoing things that we've done? Why are we here? What's the game plan for this plot? But the story has never been, you know, the plot has never been the main thing that it's doing. So even if at the end of this I say, this plot was a terrible idea, I still, you know, it still has the charm of the series. It still has that, you know, dry, witty British humor. It still has at least one of the characters, at least at the beginning of this, that I love. I don't know, you know, I still, like, with each book, I like it less and less, but the bar was so high for book 1 that with my decreasing interest, I'm still, like, it's still great, you know? Usually with these series, like Murderbot, like Wayward Children, Psalm of the Wild Belt, Cradle, these books that are quick and easy and fun that I say, it's a good buffer book. It's a good book for me to read in between my really big heavy books. I rarely continue with the series because generally that's not the type of story that I gravitate to. But with Hitchhikers, it's that. It's that light, fun, hilarious, fun, awesome, fun story that I just enjoy. So I'm just enjoying it. That's the update. Thanks for helping me put my shelves back together. You were a great help. So, I didn't like this. I'm so bummed to say it. So many people have warned me that this book is not as good as the ones previous. Go ahead and just stop at book 3. All those words that get said. And I've just like, I've been so adamantly believing, you know, that like, no, I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love every addition to this series that I get. Even if I continually like them less and less as I go on, they're all going to be amazing, because book 1 was just, it was so good to me, you know, like book 1 was so high that it was like, even if we keep falling, I'm still in the clouds. I'm so disappointed. The plot, the setting, the romance, what were we even doing? Like, why did we even do it? Why did we even do it? Even like the main characters of the series that make this series so fun. Where even were you? Like, why were you even here? I could point scenes to you. I could point you at scenes where things just like, why? I didn't like it. And I'm bummed out about it, quite frankly. I started my reread of Beartown. A bunch of us on my Patreon are rereading a book a month in anticipation for the 3rd book being released. It feels so, listen, okay, so since I've read this book, I think I read it like 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe? It might have been 3 years ago. It might have been like 4 years ago. I don't have any idea. It feels so good to come back to a book that meant so much to you, to come back to it years later, and for it to be even more impactful the second time around, and to only validate that, yeah, this is your favorite author. You know, I have One Piece and the Gentleman Bastards is my favorite series. I have Peter Pan as my favorite standalone. I have Bachman as my favorite author. And, yeah, that title is solidly in place. So if you don't know, Beartown is, it takes place in Sweden, which our author, Bachman, is Swedish. And it takes place in this hockey town. And this town, it's crumbling. It's people are moving away to go live in the city. A lot of jobs, you know, there's not a lot of jobs. There's a decent amount of unemployment. A lot of the people are very closed off. It's a dying town. The one thing it has going for them is its hockey program. And if they can win the championship, it could potentially be so good for the people, for their morale, could potentially be so good for the town, getting sponsorships, potentially bringing in a stronger hockey program, which would bring in more players, which could potentially also bring in more businesses and really revive there's a lot riding on this championship. And this book follows the entire town. We're in so many perspectives, in so many heads. And I remember the first time I read this book, it took me forever to actually get into it, because it was just like, oh my goodness, how many people are we going to get the perspective of? How many people are we going to be in the head of? But it all just comes together. And there's an incident that happens, which I'm just going to tell you is a rape. And every time I talk about this book, people say, don't say what the incident is. It's not on the back description. It doesn't happen till X point in the book. You're spoiling. I just think that this is a spoiler that should be out there. I think people need to be able to opt in or opt out on a book that closely examines a sensitive topic. So anyway, this book is just... Bachman is so good at writing horribly flawed characters, at writing deeply troubling and uncomfortable scenes and dialogue. I'm not even talking about the rape anymore. Now I'm just talking about like locker room banter and characters and just things that happen. He's so good at writing real life scenarios that just aren't fun to be a fly on the wall in. Not telling you what to think, just putting it in a way that makes you think. And he's so good at writing scenes and dialogue and situations that don't feel needed, they don't feel necessary, they don't feel relevant, and then talking about something else and then coming back around and using that scene again to make a greater point. And you just kind of walk away like, oh my gosh, everything is intentional. Every line matters. Every line was thought out. I don't know how long it takes Bachman to write these books, but it's gotta be years. I mean, I couldn't write something like this in a short period of time. It's so intentional. It's not just words on a page. It's not just scenes. Like, they all matter. Anyway, this book is that incident, and it's the town reacting. It's a whole lot of bad reactions, some good. And let's go ahead and explore some trauma together. Let's really closely examine this situation, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we got here. Let's talk about the things that we did and didn't do and where we messed up. For me, culture is as much about what we encourage as what we actually permit. David asked what he meant by that, and soon replied that most people don't do what we tell them to do. They do what we let them get away with. This is a really good book. I am that far into it, 226 pages. I'm happy to be rereading these. I'm looking forward to book 3. I love Bachman. I have cried 100 times over this book, and I don't even think it's an exaggeration. I really think I have. Yeah, it's been embarrassing, actually, the number of times that Corey has walked in on me like full on sobbing. But it's just the thing, it's, first of all, it's a tender subject, and I'm a mom. And Bachman tackles it from all angles, including the parents. And I'm a mom, and I don't know, man. Bachman's prose, like, he just has this ability to say things just right, so that you're tracking with him, you're doing all the things that he's doing, you're with him, and then he delivers a line that's just like, that just holds all the weight to it. Or plus to also his characters. I mean, like, there are characters, multiple characters in the series that are like, I wish you were in my life. It's crazy because we're gonna read book 2 next month, and I would like to just keep on going. I shan't, because I've already started. We have buddy reads. And I've already started Nettle and Bone, which is the buddy read, the next Patreon buddy read, so I gotta read it. But I just want to go straight into the next one. This has been a very good reread. Anyway, we actually have a lot of things to discuss in this clip, so let's keep it moving, Murph. I read Vinland Saga. So my friend Philip, I hung out with him over on his channel. I'll leave the link to that video. And we just chatted for a while, and I told him that he's never read any manga and he wanted a suggestion, and I told him, you need to read Vinland Saga because of just what I know about him personally. And he was like, oh cool, I actually really enjoy the Vinland Sagas. And I was like, do tell. So anyway, we traded. I bought the Vinland Sagas and he bought Vinland Saga, the manga, and we're both reading the things that we're both reading each other's Vinlands. And anyway, I read it in a day because because I'm so invested in the manga, a lot of real historical characters are in the manga, though, you know, they're playing a different plot than history has them playing. But like seeing Thorfinn and Thorkel and Leif and so many awesome characters that I'm very attached to, seeing who they really were or what the saga says that they are. My golly, seeing who they really were, or who they were in the sagas. This is two sagas. It's Eric the Red saga and the saga of the Greenlanders. Which, if you're curious, the saga of the Greenlanders was my preferred one. Can you hear my son clearing his throat every 2 seconds? But like, so it was interesting to read the original sagas. It was interesting to see what kind of role they played in these sagas. But like, there are also diagrams and things, drawings and maps, and you know, it's just, I enjoyed it. I read it in a day because I was just so excited to, because I was just so excited to. This is why I don't film with my son in the room. Isn't that ridiculous? It's like... Anyway, I was so excited for the original story, so I read it and it was nice. And if I weren't already invested in these characters, I would have hated it. But because I am invested, holy cow! The neighbor kids are being super loud, so I've literally just exchanged one noise for another. I'm gonna keep the rest of this brief. Oh good! There's someone backing up! I'm gonna keep this brief. So, Vinland Saga. I finished the first arc. I'm keeping it spoiler free because I have a spoiler filled discussion that I started typing up notes for. Hey dog! That I started typing up notes for today, and it's gonna be a long video because there's too much to discuss. These 54 chapters is so, they're so full of such incredibly rich characters. Like, every side character could get its own in-depth analysis. It's incredible. So here I am just trying to write up notes to just give an overarching, you know, discussion. Still spoilers, still going into the nitty-gritty, but I'm not even trying to hit every tiny little nuanced thing, and it's already so long. So just briefly, I think the thing, it's just gonna be loud. I think the thing, let's bring you closer. Sorry. Maybe the mic will pick me up better, more focused like this. Use me as a podcast. So, I think the thing that probably impressed me the most is Askeladd, who's already one of my favorite villains and already has impressed me abundantly in this story, but I think it's the fact that with every scene he's in, he gets more and more nuanced. With every new revelation of his character, he gets, I feel, more and more unable to put him in a box. A certain type of person. Good, bad, anywhere in between. He fluctuates depending on how I'm feeling in the moment. And that's a good character. To the very end of this arc, holy cow, I don't really like you being that close. Back up. But like I said, I have a video coming. It's next week. It's less than a week from the day that you'll be seeing this. That will hopefully be slightly satisfying with spoilers. I also read the next volume of Fruits Basket. Again, I have the collector's edition, so it's volumes compacted together. So I've read half of the collector's edition of volume 7, which is like, I don't know, volume 14? That's not it. Anyway, I enjoyed this one more than I have been enjoying the last few. I've been kind of like falling out of love with the series. I love the first 3 volumes of this edition, so the first 6. And then it really dropped off big time for me, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit more. I just feel like now that we've gone out so wide, I think we're done introducing a bunch of different characters and all their different conflicts and all their different personal strifes and struggles, I hope. So now that we've gone so wide, I feel like now we're finally saying, okay, let's do some plot. And let's, like, now that we're done going outward, let's just start moving forward. And that feels nice. It feels good to feel like there's some sort of progress happening, to feel like we're moving again, because I felt for so long like we were just standing still and just moving out instead of moving forward. So it's been nice. I have enjoyed this volume more than the last several, so I'm gonna keep reading, you know. as I plan this Vinland Saga video. I'm going to keep reading this, and I think I'm going to keep liking it, hopefully. Okay, that's the thing. I already took a thumbnail in the other location, so that's the one we'll use. And feel free to chat with me about any of these books in the comments. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the other channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays here. I'll see you again soon. Bye.